they don't see themselves as being a victim. They don't see themselves as under this post-traumatic slave disorder. They don't see a need for this type of blueprint because, again, they will say their ancestors fought, bled, and died, etc., etc. But not only that, they have things good here. They have the NHS, they have their job, they have validation, they have their house, they have their kids, 2.5 kids, dog, all that kind of other good stuff. Now, there's a famous quote by Harriet Tubman that says, "I would have freed a lot more slaves had they known they'd been slaves." Would you argue that's the case here? Because the question will be, how are you going to get people to convince themselves that this is even an issue, that they're even a victim of something that, let's be honest, a lot of them thought this has already been done by 200 years ago. That's going to be a hard sell. How would you convince these people that they actually are under this sort of situation?
Well, the Honourable Marcus Garvey says that you have to be salesmen to one another to sell a product of being African and self-determination. So the product should be, my brother, is that we need to have, like, for example, a picture of what is our reality now and what is our reality back then. And we need to have key points. Have we organized to protect the African economically insecurity, right? And then we should have blueprints of, and as also pictures of how it was back then and how it is now. We should always have these slogans because, denial is not just the river in Egypt. So when you look at the reality in that, we can say we don't suffer from these things, but then why is it that we don't have our institutions? Why is it that we can't protect the African woman? Why are we not practicing generational wealth? Why is it that, when we're in socialism, we have, a Eurocentric way of socialism. In religion, we have a Eurocentric way of thinking. In even when it comes to gender movements, as it pertains for, the African woman, if she wants to be in a movement for women and stuff like that, she also still has a Eurocentric mindset, as well as the men who want a chauvinistic gender movement. It's the same thing applies, right? So we can pretend all we want, but the reality is, if we're not suffering from that, then why haven't we progressed? And then sooner or later, brother, you'll get the ones who acknowledge that we have a problem and admitting that we have a problem, and then the next stage is a solution. If, for example, if I'm a smoker, right, and I want to stop smoking, right, the best way for me to do that is to keep away from those who keep smoking. You see? Because when you keep away from those who are smoking, you're more likely to have a freedom to work on your issues. But if we're all together, brother, as what Francis Cress Wilson made it clear, that when black people are all together, they can be poisons to one another due to our mindset. And to back that, what Neil Fuller Jr. says is that when you're around black people, you need to have a plan. So accepting our reality, that we suffer from tribalism, even though tribalism was used to conquer the continent. We suffer from colorism, which is still used today. We suffer from, putting our wealth in other people's communities who don't look like us. We're still suffering from that back then and back now. So we can always elaborate on these key points, that if we don't suffer from it, why haven't we progressed? Here's the thing, brother. There's an interesting diagnosis, right, as it pertains to the community of Switzerland and Sweden. There's a thing called Stockholm syndrome, and Stockholm syndrome is an emotional response which happens to an abused or an hostage victim that when they have positive feelings towards the abuser and the captor. Now, this is very interesting because when someone is being very horrible to you, mistreating you, going against the laws of humanity, the brain should tell you this, like, wow, these people make me feel very bad, physically, mentally, psychologically, so I should kind of keep away from them. But when we understand Stockholm syndrome, is that we have a love of positive feelings towards our oppressor. What I've noticed, brother, there's nothing that non-African people do to us as a people, that will tell us this. Let's keep away from them. They, unfortunately, there are many cases of them poisoning our foods. There's many cases of them ill-treating our women, ill-treating our men, killing us, shooting us down, discriminating us in the Justice Department. In all these types of fields, there's nothing, brother, that tells us like, whoa, we have to keep away from these people. So if we are going to say choice, and if we are going to say, well, we have to survive in these different supermarkets, then I believe, brother, through proof and evidence, that we suffer from post-traumatic slavery syndrome as well as colonization, because there is history, brother, where we've been mistreated. One of the principles of white supremacy, and we are grateful for our black psychiatrists and political scientists, has made it clear that one of it is, our plight is always historical.